What is this, a ship full of women?
General, Professor Ross is still waiting for you in the hangar.
Tell her I'm on my way.
So, I'm going to try a new format here for this video, so bear with me. If you want to know what's happening, there's a few other videos that you can see and it'll explain, but I think the title does the job well enough. If you want to watch the other parts of this series, you can after watching this one. As of right now, welcome to watching every single superhero movie ever made, Part 4. The first thing on the schedule is the inevitable as a YouTuber. I have made a mistake. A continuous lapse in judgment. I've missed a few movies. But before you burn me alive and feed me to your children, I have watched those movies and they will be the first reviews in this episode. But to speak on this half of the 2000s... What a cluster of movies that were good, but mostly bad. The amount of movies in this video will not express well enough to show you how many hours have been wasted on this. Alright, and you know the drill. The ending of the video will show the full rankings. Now, if you want a very thorough and color-coded type shit, I will put a document in the description down below. And yes, I am that kind of nerd. Also, I wrote a book. If you want to support me in any way possible, financially, you can. The links are in the description. And thank you if you do so. And now, for our first review.
This was a charming movie. I mean, it wasn't great, but it had spirit. Actually, a phantom, I guess. The character work is lacking in every way, but it was fun. Actually, there was a different F word. Fine. It was fine. Like putting cheddar on ramen and calling that a snack. Like, it won't kill you, but the toll it will take on your soul and heart will weigh too much. I want a 5-star meal, don't get me wrong. But at least this movie seasoned the ramen. Zorro is legit. This was just a movie about a Latino Batman. At least his parents didn't die. That would have been embarrassing. Loser. The acting was done very well by the entire cast. The movie looks damn good with the sets and costume design. The story is the weak factor of the film, but the character work makes up for it. The sword fights were amazing and felt more than just time padding. Simply just a good movie. There was the whole scene with the main character doing some sort of vigilante work that was kind of off in the vibe and how it was shown, but the trademark twist from M. Night came in clutch. The acting was good, which is expected from these actors, but the writing helps them push themselves into having scenes I've never seen from some of these actors. This movie never tried to tell a superhero story, and that was just so refreshing. But when it eventually did, it was okay. Unpopular opinion alert? I think this movie is a bit better than the first. First reason, the love interest has something interesting to do. Instead of being a woman, the villain has something more villainous to him, but at the cost of a weaker actor. Antonio truly brings Zorro into a hard drama story with his family and country that I just simply loved. I love conflict, what can I say? The missed movies are over. If I still have more missed movies, make sure to comment those down below. It's time to catch up to your regularly scheduled program. I'm a true hater when it comes to this film. Brandon Routh is a fine actor, but to try and make him the same as Reeves is kind of confusing. They're not the same, and neither is this world. It's just confusing how they wrote the story for this specific Superman. Lois has a husband and a kid that is actually Superman's kid, and Lex is a sexual predator. Well, actually, that one's more of a spin-off story.
Yeah, this one didn't do it for me, guys. My bad? Seems Superman has a lot of juice left in him this year. I would hope so, since he's draining me of my hopes and dreams.
This movie dragged on and on into deep levels of boredom and nothingness. The animation is subpar, and the story would have been better if they decided to just hire a monkey. Let me set the tone for you how I want you to feel about this movie. There are about 4 montages in this movie. Tim Allen, who is the lead actor, didn't even look like he wanted to be in this movie. I feel for him, since I never wanted to watch this movie.
This film has no Christmas miracle. If I could, I would give the production crew bags upon bags of coals so they can burn this film quicker.
I've read a lot of comics from the original Ultimate Universe. Some are good, most are bad. The movie truly shows you why it was a good thing this universe died in the comics. The only good thing that came out of this was some of the characters like Miles, and he was not in this movie. I mean, yes, he was created a few years later, but they should have gotten a time machine and brought him here to make this somewhat enjoyable. I mean, this was a fucking boring cartoon. How do you do that? The idea of a rom-com superhero flick doesn't sound like a great idea, but somehow they dragged themselves past horrible and landed at an outstanding... Okay. The rom was bland though, and the com was fine. I just wonder that maybe they shouldn't have made Dwight here a weirdo, but at least that weirdo status stays in fiction. I actually think this movie does better with the rom-com aspect rather than the superhero edition.
I mean, it's still not a great movie, but at least I said something nice.
Wow. An ending to a trilogy that wasn't the movie equivalent of dog feces. What a time to be alive! Back in 2006, but still! Yeah, this is the worst of the 3, but with competition like Superman 3 and TMNT 3, it did a good job of standing on its own 2 feet and actually walking. I would say the biggest thing bringing down this movie was the amount of characters taking up screen time. Past movies had a definite small number while also feeling huge, but those movies at least had the characters do something important. Some of these guys are barely even there. This movie really wanted you to stay out loud. Wow. This concept is unique, and I applaud the filmmakers, because the entire film just kind of used up the main aspect of the film and never expanded past that. But it truly was cool to see a guy, maybe or maybe not, actually have powers. Yeah, it was kind of cool, but the novelty of it kind of wears off for the last 15 to 20 minutes of the film. But this movie was indeed special, and actually doing a plot around more than just a dude having powers. It has the pretty thing called mental health. Enjoyable. Hellboy is a good character, and the animation is a bit more interesting to look at since it seems to be trying to look a bit more unique compared to any other 1-hour DVD movies. The voice acting is a bit undercooked, but hey, again, all I need is some good slop, and I am there. Oh yeah, the film. Decent plot, I guess. Cool to see some foreign stuff in a superhero movie again. That's rare. Because as we all know, all superheroes are American, and the rest of the world stink. Worthless. That's it. But I have to fill this time in somehow, so let me tell you how worse the comics are in this universe. And all I need is one fact. You know Quicksilver and Scarlet Witch. One of them likes bullets to the chest, the other one likes fucking talking toasters. Well, they decide to take a page out of the South and decide to get a bit too...
Is that enough time? I think so. Fuck this movie. Not like that!
This movie has the same feeling as finding an old 90s show you've never heard of on Netflix and deciding to have a quick laugh with it. It's not going to be good, but at least, here's hoping, there'll be a few laughs here and there.
This movie promotes horse race gambling. Why? I don't know. Why did we go to war with the Middle East after 9/11? I don't know. Democracy?
Turtles are back, and I'll let you in some Boyer Plaza lore. This was one of the first movies I got to see with my baby eyes. This was, back then, one of the best films ever made. I mean, this film had to win an Oscar, right? Ninja, turtles, evil monsters being controlled by a white guy that fucked up some spell. Absolute cinema. And then my brain developed, and now this movie is fine. Nice to come back to, but also, I'm okay with forgetting this movie again. Oh, thank God. It was an actual film that was fun to watch. I mean, this was not a perfect film, but man, oh man, I was giddy like a schoolgirl watching this film. And yes, that was because of the obvious sex appeal of the movie. Chris Evans. Jessica was fine, but she was practically invisible to the plot. The plot was about as appealing as me in a thong. At least I'm able to fit everything in, while I wish this movie took everything out, and then put mostly everything new in. This movie has just no style or class. Again, like me in a thong! I do think this movie should never be forgotten by putting it in a cage and poke it with a stick. A long stick. Nick Cage was the true star of the film, and it was that way throughout. Nothing really interesting happened, but holy shit, it was still cool sometimes. Like, Ghost Rider can never not be the cool guy that wears leather and has a fucking skull head. Metal as hell. Literally. The villain was boring. The love interest made me lose my interest. Again, I would give this movie a harder time if not for Nick Cage being the goofball he is. Or the fucking skull on fire. My boy brain is going crazy over that! It was fine, just like the other film, but a bit more boring. The plot is completely forgettable. Actually, I forgot I've watched this film. What film is this? Kidding. Almost. This film blends into the other in a bad way. There's little to no difference, and you have to watch each film multiple times to remember the difference. The characters are the same, like Hellboy's a fine character, you know, but I don't want the same thing again.
Guess what, fuckface? Most of the movies are the same!
This film is a complete joke. It feels like Raimi wanted to make a parody of his last films. I feel mocked. But still, the film is kind of okay with the whole Harry versus Peter thing that has been building up. And Sandman is a nice villain, but Venom is so underdeveloped and underwhelming, I doubt we'll see Venom again. It seems like a one-time character. A generic film with a good fame. I don't know what else you need to know. This movie has a dog in it that flies around and attacks bad guys. That's pretty much the plot. No other meaning. No substance. Oh, but the theme song is super good. Honestly, just listen to the theme song and just don't watch the movie. You actually might have a good time. This movie was a year separated from Underdog and was also made by Disney. I don't know if they wanted to start making a Super Dog cinematic universe, but here's another Super Dog movie, I guess. This movie is actually more competent than some of the other films and has really good voice acting. I mean, the humor is bland in some part, but at least this was fun.
It kept itself simple and never tried to do anything more than be a real treat.
Speaking of cinematic universes, here is of course the start of the MCU. Love or hate the current slate of movies, their first movie was a complete banger that gave them a good footing. Tony Stark is a great character and the story is well paced and well written. If Marvel Studios was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps, I don't know how they could ever do no wrong.
I don't know if it's worth talking about this film for an extended amount of time. There's no way you don't know about this film. Just imagine for yourself I'm talking about the fucking score or something. Anything. It doesn't matter, since trying to talk about this film is like hating on Tom Brady. Everyone already does that, so what could I possibly add to the discussion?
Do you guys think Commissioner Gordon is a bit overrated?
This was another one of those films I watched a lot as a kid, and I was super excited to see this with my adult eyes. I don't want to say this movie was the cause for me to seek therapy, but it definitely made me look inside myself to understand how stupid I was as a kid. This movie is, all jokes aside, a fine film, but it just crosses that line of mediocre. The animation is generic and the dialogue is trash. I enjoy the future stuff and the world building, but my nerd brain doesn't make this a better film because they have some of the most well-known characters, but just older now. The most sequel-presenting movie I've ever seen. It has a generic villain, does nothing with the characters. The writing was fine, but is there really a compliment to this movie other than it was fine to watch and listen to? It didn't feel like it was a waste of time, but is that what my standards have truly been squashed to? The answer is yes, and I hate myself for it. This film has a scene with Will Smith shooting out barrels of his own fluids onto a woman. That was the first 15 or so minutes, and somehow the rest was actually enjoyable. I like the main character, and this guy seems like a prick, but is fun to watch. Be a prick kind of way. The acting was nice, and I enjoyed the lore that came out of nowhere during the film. So, good job, guys. Gold star for you for making an enjoyable film.
No gold star for you.
Story is crap, and the jokes are some of the worst attempts I've ever seen in my life. I have to remember the jokes I said when I was a kid, and I had no sense of what a punchline was. And I would bet all the money in the world a 7-year-old me would write better jokes than this garbage. Do better. Actually, you can't, since they stopped making these types of movies for a reason.
Man, does that guy ever shut the fuck up? Okay, well, it seems like this is halfway through the video, so maybe we take a little break, get some snacks, go use the restroom, and for the people who are still here, let's take all this in, think about and digest what we've said. Alright, that was enough time. Get back to the fucking video. It's right there. Go watch it. Go watch it. Man, does that guy ever shut the fuck up?
I think it's crazy Paramount went and tried to make another Hulk movie after the 2003 incident. To drive how bad this movie was, let me describe the face of my dearest and only friend as the final fight was going on. Disgust beyond your wildest dreams. A shiver down the spine. Their will was crushed. This person also loves a ton of movies that the general audience tends to hate. So when you have people who like bad things call your product bad, you have just been put to death. Career death. Not actually. That would be insane. Actually, that would be Twitter.
This movie crushes the human spirit and spit on my loved ones. Yeah, that's a bit extreme, but that would be more exciting to watch than this movie.
As a concept, this works really well, since it has plenty of characters in an animated movie that takes place a long time ago. That sounds cool on paper, but then the movie kind of falls into a pit of despair I call being a superhero-first movie. I read the comics that the movie's based on, and just like the comics, the story jumps from one place to another, and while the movie's a bit better at making it seem coherent, there is no room for any character moments or pretty much any attachment. Like, I know Superman, but you have to make me care about this Superman. Yeah, this movie was never going to be good. No original cast of characters and a whole plate full of scenes shot during what could only be called the darkest part of Random City, USA. The story's bland and uninteresting, and none of the characters keep me interested. None of the charm of the first, and just feels super dumbed down. Is this me being punished? I've talked a lot about charm in this video, and this movie actually tried to have charm, but instead, this movie practically called me a racial slur, and tried to peer pressure me into taking a drug with a hyphenated name. Like, all around, just gross. I'm very surprised by the cast, and a bit disappointed, but they gave it their all. Not the main character, though. That guy sucked. This movie looks dated past its expiration date. It was left in the fridge until someone smelled it from the next room. I ordered a good film, sir, but instead you gave me the plate with the face of Sharpay's brother. That's not a meal. That's barely a snack. You know what? I just wanted to go on a diet now. A bad movie diet. No more bad movies. Chris Evans returns in this video to present us with a watchable movie. Yay. I like the lore and the characters and the plot and the powers and how many people have those powers. It's cool to see kind of a small war with some people with abilities plus some espionage stuff and Chris Evans. The writing was fine throughout, nothing amazing, but it never made me roll my eyes. The look of the film most of the time is a bit bland, but the characters will just take your focus away, so it's fine. This movie just retells the story of Hal Jordan, and it's practically beat by beat. I like how much more Abin Sur is to the plot of the film, but overall, it's just subpar. If you know about Hal and his origins, this film is not for you. Sinestro is the villain, and he does some bad things, but it's overall not an interesting movie. So, again, here we go, with more 1 hour straight-to-DVD movies. There's going to be a lot more moving forward, so prepare for that mind-numminess a little bit. You know, that little bit of the ringing in your ears. I guess I enjoyed the plot a bit with Doomsday and Superman's death, but other than that, it just felt meaningless. This could have been done in 30 minutes and that would have been better. Still, it had ideas I liked, it just stretched them way too far for a movie. This was not very good. Thor and Hulk fighting off is fine, but overall it just comes off as more of an idea for a single comic issue rather than an hour-long movie. Way too long. The characters are one note and the animation is bad. I want to be more harsh than that, but this movie already insults itself. I actually really like this film. Way more interesting. Animation is still way too cheap, but the writing is actually competent. There are a lot of charming characters that help you forget this movie has zero development other than making sure to have Hulk fight Wolverine, and that's the main pull. Nice ideas. Okay execution.
This is one of the worst films I've ever seen in my life. There are multiple moments that you can see the film crew were using a green screen for just anything, like it's the 70s. Where's my disco, Logan? Where's my good movie, Logan? Where's your acting, Logan? I'm sorry, that was a bit harsh. Hugh Jackman was the only thing I actually liked about this movie, and I would have preferred if they just had him legitimately doing nothing for an hour. That would have been a better movie.
Another comic to film production. I like the story from the comics, and this does an okay job presenting the story. The animation is fine, but it never seems to wow me. I like animation a lot, too. This just suffers from being treated like a second thought by too many of the people who made this film. It felt that way anyways. A fun movie with okay writing, but the character work is nowhere to be seen. A good use of cameos from heroes and villains, though. This film has Steve Trevor give Wonder Woman a woman, by the way. The whole not every guy speech. You know the speech. And that's crazy, since every man she met in this film other than Steve was a complete creep. Such a weird movie. Let me slip this one in, okay? This does not kind of contribute to the challenge, as it just features a superhero rather than tell a superhero type story, but come on, it's Ryan Reynolds in a superhero costume, and it features Emma Stone. That practically makes it a superhero movie no matter what. It could have been a spy movie based in 1656, and I would still put it here. Actually, that sounds fucking cool. And before I forget to do my job, this film was fine. Nice script, nice story, and very good acting.
Would it surprise you if I told you that I like this movie better than Punisher Warzone? No, because you understand the brilliance of Garfield.
I mean, look at this comedy. Wow, that's funny, right? Get it? Because he's depressed. This movie made me depressed. Funny, right? The story is not good at all, but somehow fine at the same time. Like, nothing cool happened, but I was able to watch it. As if Garfield put me under a spell.
Last film, guys! Woo! Alright, let's get this done so we can wrap this up. What's that?
What's up, weirdos? I'm back here to once again talk about a movie I love and resonate with.
The movie Watchmen is a beloved film by many fans of Zack Snyder and the original comics by Alan Moore. The movie begins with the murder of the comedian.
These are other people, but they sound like me. What's happening?
A story is happening. Your story becoming who you can be.
We can help you decide.
Neither of you are who I want to be. This channel and series was supposed to be some fun on the side. You know, while also promoting my book.
This is an opinionated position you have. Either becoming me...
Or me. That's the only way to grow.
One of you sounds like a complete loser while the other one sounds bored.
Actually, I call myself and my fans weirdos.
I don't think you know how little that helps the argument. So, you two are like the angel and devil on my shoulders. One of you, I can tell, represents the movie reviewers that feel represented by a racist, sexist loner who eats beans from a can. And the other is a timid egocentrist with nothing to add. Those options suck.
Yeah, but in ReviewTube, you're one or the other.
If you like the film, you will become no sight. And if you put the film at around a 5 out of 10, you will be me. No voice.
But this movie is kind of bad and kind of good. The movie looks good, but the dialogue and story pacing is just so bad. The twist is not even close to being called a twist. Nothing is super well done while also seeming to be competent enough for an okay first viewing. This is a true 6 out of 10 film.
No, don't say that. This film is amazing and doesn't have...
I would rather not know what you were about to say.
6 out of 10? But that's scary. What if someone doesn't agree with you?
That doesn't matter. This whole challenge is about my opinion alone. There's nothing scientific about it, since the scores aren't based on anything other than what I feel. This is supposed to be just a fun little project. I won't turn it into something more. I don't want this to be seen as some thought-provoking piece of media. I want this to be popcorn slop. I will not just make this a huge thing with some sort of huge story. I want to focus on the challenge. Both of you are not who I want to be.
Oh, no.
Well, that just happened.
Hey, so yeah, that's the end of part 4. I told you there was a story. You know, not a great one, but represents what the future of this channel will be. Especially for anything, you know, review-wise. I don't want this to be anything other than just a fun time. Try to get into the roots of original YouTube with the goal of making just entertainment videos. You know, no money on the brain. You know, well, unless it's about the book. Oh, by the way, this is the ratings for all the movies together. Here you go. A lot. It's a lot. If you enjoy this video, do whatever you want. I won't tell you what to do. I don't know when the next ranking part will be out. The next video that comes on this channel will be just a random video. That's what I plan for. I'm thinking maybe a few months. I don't know, take a break from ranking all these movies. Because wow, it's such a hard job just to watch.
Man, does that guy ever shut the fuck up?